Welcome to our US Briefing Show. Today, we've got some intriguing stories lined up for you. First up, the US Embassy in Tokyo is set to get a new officer specifically for China affairs. This move aims to keep a close eye on China's activities and work with the Japanese government to address any concerns. It's all part of the broader efforts by the Office of China Coordination, also known as China House, to manage China's influence in the region. Exciting times ahead for US-Japan relations, don't you think? Next, let's talk about some good news for ride-hailing drivers. Uber and Lyft have struck a deal with state lawmakers to set minimum pay rates for their drivers. This agreement will not only raise wages across the state but also prevent individual cities like Minneapolis from setting their own wage floors. Minnesota's governor and the Democratic Farmer Labor parties have also agreed on a minimum wage deal, ensuring drivers get at least $1.28 per mile and 31 cents per minute. It's a win-win for everyone involved. Lastly, we have a touching story from Denver. After the tragic loss of their 4-year-old daughter Gracie in a truck crash, Gina Gencheva and Andy Newman-Gonker are channeling their grief into a mission for road safety. They are starting a foundation in Gracie's name to promote safer roads and child well-being. It's a beautiful way to honor their daughter's memory and make a positive impact on the community. Please stay tuned for more details on these stories and more. Thank you for joining us on US Briefing, and make sure to keep watching for the full scoop. Japan Times. The U.S. State Department is set to deploy an officer to the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo from July to oversee and address issues related to China's behavior. This move is part of a broader strategy to gather intelligence on China's coercive activities in collaboration with the Japanese government. This new role will be under the purview of the Office of China Coordination, also known as China House, which is responsible for managing U.S. policy on China. The decision underscores the United States' commitment to closely monitor and respond to China's actions in the region, reflecting the growing geopolitical tensions between the two superpowers. Yahoo US, Uber and Lyft have struck a landmark deal with Minnesota lawmakers to establish minimum pay rates for drivers, effectively preempting local ordinances like the one recently passed by the Minneapolis City Council. The agreement, reached after protracted negotiations and threats from the companies to exit the state, ensures drivers will earn at least $1.28 per mile and 31 cents per minute. This deal, celebrated by Democratic lawmakers and Governor Tim Walz, is hailed as the strongest labor protection for ride-hail drivers in the nation. The legislation also includes increased insurance coverage and protections against unfair deactivation, marking a significant victory for the Minnesota Uber-Lyft Drivers Association, which has been advocating for better wages and workplace protections for over 18 months. Yahoo US, Minnesota's Democratic leaders have announced a crucial deal on minimum pay standards for Uber and Lyft drivers, which will prevent the companies from leaving parts of the state. The agreement, unveiled at a Saturday evening news conference, sets statewide minimum rates and preempts a recent Minneapolis ordinance that had proposed higher rates. The negotiations, led by Senator Omar Fateh, culminated just hours before the legislative session's deadline. The deal ensures that drivers will receive fair compensation while allowing Uber and Lyft to continue operating in Minnesota. However, the preemption of local control has sparked criticism from some city council members, highlighting the ongoing tension between state and local governance. Yahoo US reports that a Denver family, struck by tragedy, is channeling their grief into positive action after their daughter, Gracie Gonker, was killed by a pickup truck in Boston's Fort Point. Gracie, a vibrant 4-year-old, was hit at the corner of Sleeper and Congress Street while her family awaited a ride. Her mother, Gina Gencheva, recounts the harrowing experience of retrieving Gracie from beneath the truck, a trauma she relives daily. The family plans to honor Gracie's memory by establishing a foundation focused on child welfare and road safety. This foundation aims to implement road safety measures in Boston, Denver, and beyond, ensuring such tragedies are prevented in the future. The city has already responded by enhancing safety features at the accident site. In another tragic incident reported by Yahoo US, 6 people lost their lives and 10 were injured when a pickup truck collided with a passenger van in Idaho Falls. The crash occurred early Saturday morning on US Highway 20 when the eastbound pickup veered into oncoming traffic, hitting the westbound Chevrolet van. The van's driver and 5 passengers died at the scene, while the pickup driver and 9 other van passengers were hospitalized. The cause of the pickup's deviation remains unclear, although weather conditions were favorable at the time. The highway, known for its fatalities, was closed for 5 hours as authorities cleared the wreckage and investigated the crash. Idaho State Police are leading the investigation to determine the exact cause of the collision. According to the South China Morning Post, Singapore's new Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong, inherits a robust yet complex relationship with China from his predecessor, Lee Hsien Loong. Li's tenure saw Singapore navigating ties with China through the administrations of Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping, maintaining stability despite geopolitical shifts. Initiatives like the Joint Council for Bilateral Cooperation and the Singapore-China Forum on Leadership were established under Li, fostering strong bilateral cooperation. However, the relationship faced challenges, such as Li's contentious visit to Taiwan and the South China Sea disputes. Despite these, economic and political ties flourished, with Singapore becoming China's largest foreign direct investor. As Wang steps into leadership, he faces the task of balancing Singapore's relations with both China and the US, amidst a backdrop of increasing geopolitical tension. Li's legacy provides a solid foundation, but Wang must navigate new complexities and opportunities in the evolving international landscape. South China Morning Post: India's opposition parties face a significant challenge in the ongoing elections, struggling to present a unified front or a compelling vision to rival Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. The low voter turnout reflects public disillusionment with the current political landscape, marred by personal and religious attacks rather than constructive debate. Despite forming a national alliance, opposition parties lack a common leader and agenda, with each one prioritizing its own interests. Rahul Gandhi, despite his prestigious lineage and national presence through Congress, has failed to consolidate the opposition or prevent defections to the BJP. Modi's charismatic oratory and effective use of media, including commercial films, have further cemented his dominance. The BJP's well-oiled election machinery and the perceived bias of the Election Commission have only exacerbated the opposition's woes, turning the elections into a power struggle rather than a genuine effort to improve the lives of ordinary Indians. Yahoo US: At the National Rifle Association's annual convention in Dallas, former President Donald Trump secured the NRA's endorsement for his 2024 presidential campaign, urging gun owners to vote en masse to prevent a re-election of President Joe Biden. Trump criticized Biden's attempts to curtail gun rights and vowed to reverse executive orders aimed at reducing gun violence if re-elected. He also launched the Gun Owners for Trump coalition, featuring 50 Olympic athletes and gun industry leaders. Despite focusing on gun rights, Trump's speech meandered into topics like immigration, crime, and unfounded claims about the 2020 election. His comments drew criticism from Everytown for Gun Safety, which accused him of aligning with the NRA's politically toxic agenda. Additionally, Trump addressed the independent presidential bid of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., noting its potential impact on the election's outcome. Despite legal troubles, including a trial over hush money payments, Trump has maintained strong leads in key swing states, bolstered by his continued campaign efforts during breaks from court proceedings. The NRA itself has faced recent legal and financial setbacks, including a civil corruption trial and declining membership, which have diminished its once formidable political influence. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.